No, sir.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright. Oh, you and I, we got it. Oh, we don't need no more. Oh, even in the hard times, you and I can weather any storm. Before I sleep, hear the crickets, see the moon. Side by side and through. No limit to what we can do. Oh, we know what we have, let's hold on tight. Found what we're looking for in life. Call us crazy, but things are finally right. With you and I, the future is bright.
Hey.
Thank you so much for watching this week's episode, and more specifically, thank you so much if you've been watching since the very first video of this road trip. This has been a massive, massive adventure for us, and we just wanted to take a few minutes to sit down with you guys and just reflect on everything we've gone through over the past 5 weeks, and also just give you the breakdown as to how much it actually cost us to be on the road for this period of time.
So interestingly enough, when we left on this trip, it was literally supposed to be a week. We packed for a week, we planned for a week, we had one video in mind that we wanted to make, and then...
Yeah, and the people that we were with when we were in Agrabis, they then told us about this amazing place called the Kalahari Trails Meerkat Sanctuary. And the place where literally the meerkats come and run over your lap. And we just thought, like, we have to go there. And once we got up there, then we were like, you know, we're so far this side of South Africa, why not just turn this into a big road trip? So then that 1 week turned into a full 5-week trip around the country. And if you did watch one of the videos, you would have remembered that I ripped one of my long pants. So I basically only had one pair of long pants for 5 weeks of the trip.
And it was cold.
And it was cold. We were going through the middle of winter as well, which made things even more interesting.
But it was just amazing and incredible, and we're so blessed because we had free time. We were actually planning on traveling with this year, and obviously that didn't really happen for most of the year. So when the restrictions started to lift and we could actually travel around a bit in South Africa, that's when we started planning trips, and we went on that trip. And so we're just so happy that we were able to go through the different provinces and that we had time on our hands to actually go and make this amazing trip. So,
and we're just so happy as well that we've experienced quite a large part of South Africa. It would have felt a bit funny having gone on international travels, actually not having experienced our own country. So it feels like we've earned our right now to do our international traveling overseas. And we're just so pleased that we actually did this trip and that it turned out into a 5-week trip, because we really just had our minds blown by this amazing experience.
yeah. So we also wanted to give you guys a bit of background on our traveling as a whole. So at the beginning of this year, in April, we were supposed to go overseas. We had our tickets booked, everything was set, and then obviously COVID hit and we didn't get to do that. But we've been saving up for years, and like we've got a budget all together ready, and we were just going to go adventuring the world, basically using a platform called Workaway. And we just have some really exciting news. And next week's video will have more information on that, but it's basically to do with the fact that international travel is starting to move again and South Africa's borders opened and we may have been able to go somewhere cool. So yeah, stay tuned to find out a bit more about that next week.
So although we had an amazing time and just had an incredible adventure throughout South Africa, we were faced with a few challenges. One of the biggest challenges for me was just in terms of editing and doing all of our digital work. Because usually when I do all the editing and stuff like that, we have a desk. It's like an office that we work in. So it really just makes it easy to do things like that. But now with us being out in the bush, we didn't have an office to work in. Most nights I would actually have to sit outside under a tree, under a little roof, in a camping chair, busy doing all the work on my laptop. Also, if it got too cold, I'd have to then move into the tent. I'd have to take out my blow-up mattress and put a chair inside the tent. But because the tent is not high enough, I'd end up sitting like this, working for hours on end until the early hours of the morning. So that really was a big challenge, but I quite enjoyed it because it teaches you new ways of doing things and it really forces you to learn new ways of overcoming problems and challenges that we're facing like that.
Some of the other challenges was to do with like food. We didn't have a fridge. We didn't have any of those normal luxuries. So we were eating canned foods and like, it's all right for like a week or maybe a couple of days or whatever. But after like 5 weeks on the road, you don't really feel like eating canned food anymore. Or you also have to make sure that you plan ahead. So if you arrive somewhere, some of the places we stayed at were like very far away from the shops. So you have to make sure that you have food and stuff ready before you arrive at your destination. So that was just some of the challenges we had as well.
So it really does make you appreciate these modern luxuries that you have once you do get home. But now for the scary part. Let's jump into the budget for how much it costs us to live on the road for 5 weeks. So if you have been following our adventures, you would have noticed that at the end of each video we put a budget for how much that particular video or that week cost us. And each time we broke it down into 4 main categories. Those categories being food, fuel, accommodation, and any extras. These extras include things such as going for an ice cream, paying for entrance into different parks, even when we just go for a milkshake or things like that. That all gets marked down under extras. Alright, so here it is. Remember, this is across 5 weeks now. So, food cost us 4,153 Rand and 19 cents. The total fuel cost us 5,150 Rand and 18 cents. Our accommodation cost us 5,497 Rand and 57 cents. And all our extras, that cost us 2,835 Rand. Now, that comes to a grand total of 17,635 Rand and 87 cents for 5 weeks. Now for all you people who would like to know, I really quite enjoyed this one as well. That cost us 3,527 Rand and 17 cents per week, 503 Rand 88 cents per day, 21 Rand per hour, 35 cents per minute, 1 cent per second. My entire time there. We drove 5,233.9 kilometers through 6 provinces around the country.
So if you look at the total cost of the trip as a whole, it doesn't seem budget friendly. It's a lot of money and it seems like we went on this luxurious trip, which in fact we did not. We were doing things in a very budget friendly way, only camping and eating canned foods, lots of pasta.
A lot of canned food. A lot of canned food and pasta.
Yeah, so we weren't like eating takeouts or buying pre-made food or anything like that. Where possible, we would stay with friends that we knew or people along the way. So we really did try our best to do things in a budget-friendly way. And to be honest, I don't want to know how much it would have cost if we hadn't done it budget-friendly. That would have been crazy.
And just going back to that whole thing of food, like we were eating so much canned food and pasta that we would get really excited if we ever did end up going into a shop going into town to buy fresh ingredients. Like that was quite a big highlight for us of this trip. So we really had an amazing time going throughout South Africa. We just had such an incredible experience, just experiencing all the different landscapes and the people. And I think that's the thing for me specifically, is just meeting all the different people around the country. South Africans really are such warm-hearted, kind and generous people. And it's just like grew our love for our own country even more and just added to this whole experience. But thank you so much for watching this week's episode. Really hope that you've enjoyed it, and also just all the videos leading up until this point. Like I said before, and like we both said before, we really had such an amazing experience, and it's just the best way to end off our time here in South Africa for this next while. Please don't forget to comment, like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back again next week Friday.
When we wake, hear the birds and see the sun. Side by side our fears are done. Oh, the good times just begun.